A final from San Francisco. Game one goes the way of the visitors, the Boston Celtics. That's because they orchestrated the most lopsided fourth quarter in NBA Finals history, outscoring Golden State 40-16. Coming in, we're talking about Golden State, one of the highest scoring teams in the league. Can Boston contain them? Yes, they can. The answer is yes. 40-16 in the fourth. And they did it with 9 threes in the fourth quarter, also the most in a fourth quarter in finals history. So a lot of history in game one. Here as the Celtics take it 120-108, handing the Warriors their first loss at Chase Center this postseason, and really in the history of Chase Center, because that's the opening of Chase Center. So they're handing them the first loss, and it comes in game one of the NBA Finals. Bill Reiter had the Celtics in this spot. You didn't even need the points. Kenny White told you take the over. It goes way over the total of 214 in San Francisco. And look, we're going to talk about Al Horford. Al Horford's a wily veteran. 15 NBA seasons, 141 playoff games before his first NBA Finals appearance. And he leads the way in scoring for Boston. Not Jaylen Brown, not Jason Tatum. It's Al Horford, the wily vet, with 26 points. He made 6 threes in the fourth quarter. I mean, he's never done that in his entire NBA career. And he did it on this night, proving that the inexperience versus experience factor, not really much of a factor in game one. Let's get right to the site. Welcome in CBS Sports NBA insider Bill Reiter, former NBA Coach of the Year Avery Johnson. As a player, he helped the Spurs win the NBA championship in 1999. Join us from Chase Center in San Francisco. Avery, your reaction to what you saw in the fourth quarter?
I'm shocked. When you look at how the Boston Celtics dominated the Golden State Warriors and gave them a little bit of their own medicine. I could say threes, please, from the Boston Celtics. They were raining threes all the way from Boston. They must have had some really good clam chowder on the flight out here to San Francisco. And it wasn't just the usual suspects, but again, it was guys like Al Horford, Derek White, even Pritchard was knocking down some shots there in the fourth quarter to really just shock this entire Warriors fan base and even their team. And it didn't help the Warriors that Draymond Green didn't play well, Jordan Poole didn't have a really good game. But give the Boston Celtics, Ime Udoka, their coach, credit. They were outstanding, especially in the fourth quarter. And here's what I'll say. Maybe there's a little bit of some second guessing because Steve Kerr started Steph Curry on the bench in the fourth quarter, and the Celtics got off to that 7-0 start in the fourth quarter and really never looked back.
Bill, the Celtics were on a 17-0 run at one point in the fourth quarter. The Warriors went 5 minutes without a made field goal. If I had told you that before the start of this game, what would you have said if I told you that the Celtics would go on a 17-0 run in the fourth and the Warriors would be the ones that go on a 5-minute scoring drought?
I would have told you you're not supposed to drink on the job and you know, maybe take a couple of days off. I'm with Avery. I am utterly shocked by the turn of events that we just saw. I did the classic sports writer curse. I started writing some notes to myself for tomorrow's radio show about how the Warriors had won. And about 30 seconds later, the tide started to turn. Akeem, it is utterly and totally perplexing. Not that the Celtics could turn up the heat defensively. We've seen them do that. Not they were able to generate offense in interesting ways from people not named Jason Tatum. Tatum did not have a great game offensively, which is another eyebrow raiser. But the fact that while the Celtics played the best version of themselves, and we've seen that, that's why they're in the NBA Finals, the Warriors utterly and totally abdicated any kind of effort, any kind of panic, any kind of actual excellence over the course of a critical stretch in the fourth quarter. And you're talking about a team that's won NBA championships, that's been in the finals again and again and again. This had happened to Boston, okay, finals nerves. The fact that it happened to the Golden State Warriors is hard to wrap my mind around.
Avery, you mentioned Jason Tatum, 12 points on 3 of 17, also had 13 assists, so he was active in terms of the production. But what does it say about the Celtics that their best player scores 12 points in this game and they get a decisive win in game one? Not just a squeak it out win, but a statement win in game one on the road.
Yeah, and I thought Tatum would struggle tonight. That's why I had him coming under, 27.5 points coming into this game. I thought Wiggins would do a really good job on him, and he did. But they double-teamed Tatum quite a bit. He moved the basketball. That's why his assists were higher tonight. And then they baited the Warriors into switching Steph Curry on him. And even though he didn't score, he got shots for other players. And then also, they did a good job of taking care of the basketball overall. They didn't have as many silly turnovers. But give Jason Tatum credit. Instead of turning the ball over 6, 7, 8 times, he was good in terms of distributing the basketball. Didn't score it as well. But if you'd have told us he would be inefficient from the field, still have 13 assists, we would have said that Boston would have lost this game tonight. But the others outside of Brown and Tatum really came through in a big way.
Yeah, Al Horford was unreal. I mean, the veteran was ridiculous. A career high, 6 made threes in this game. I mean, that's ridiculous when you consider that this was his first NBA Finals game over a 15-year NBA career. I mean, Bill, these are the kind of stories you look back at, when you look back at titles and you go, what happened in game 1? Oh, yeah. The Al Horford game when he hit a bunch of threes to seal the win. I mean, what can you say about Al Horford in a spot like this, really a spot he's been waiting for his entire career?
We talked about this before the game, that when you've seen players like Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, the Warriors that have been here, you can make some assessments, some educated guesses how they're going to handle the moment. But for guys that have never experienced this, and that's a lot of guys in the Celtics team, it is the Celtics team, who have never been in NBA Finals, you don't know what's in them and how they're called to raise their level or do the opposite until you've actually seen them in action under these bright lights. And Al Horford obviously spent a career waiting for the opportunity to do his part. Every single player that played for the Celtics today contributed in significant ways. But the 8 points that Horford scored over that fourth quarter stretch where the game went from, the Warriors are up to, the Celtics are in it, to, oh my goodness, the Celtics are running away with this thing. That was about Al Horford being so calm under pressure. And it turns out this is a guy, not everybody can do it, who was up for this moment and put a dagger in the back of a Warriors team that thought they were going to saunter their way to a Game 1 win.
And remember, Al Horford, what did he give Milwaukee, a 30-piece?
Yeah, he did show flashes, didn't he?
So they don't need him to score 26 points at 30 every night, but if he can help them win a game like he did tonight to steal one and take back home court advantage, that bodes well for the Boston Celtics.
Al Horford, who's not expected to hit threes, hit one fewer three-pointer than Steph Curry, who is the best three-point shooter in NBA history. You can argue that, whatever. That's surprising when you consider how this game started with Steph Curry, 21 points, 6 of 8 in the first quarter, most in any quarter in finals history. And you think, hey, he's going to have this great game. He had 13 rest of way. How disappointing was that for you watching him there, Avery, when you know that he's the guy they lean on when they get down in the fourth quarter? He was kind of walking back on defense, asking for fouls. It did not look good from Steph Curry's part.
Well, he looked a little exhausted there at the end of the third quarter. They took him out with about 36 seconds left. They bring in Iguodala for defense. But again, they had all of the momentum going into the fourth. And that's a situation where you have to make a call. And with Steph Curry playing as well as he played, seemed like Golden State had all of the momentum. Steph Curry and Wiggins started the fourth quarter on the bench. At that point, Steph had 30, Wiggins had 20. So that's 50 points of your offense starting on the bench. And boy, did the Boston Celtics capitalize on it. When Steph Curry returned to the game, Boston basically swung the doors open. They had all of the momentum, and they never looked back, Bill.
Bill, who was more disappointing to you? Because if you look at the production, you expect a lot from Steph Curry. Steph Curry more disappointing to you or Draymond Green?
I want to answer Steve Kerr. I'm sort of with Coach.
Oh, you can also you can add an answer to the multiple choice. Yes, Steve Kerr. I'll take that.
Yeah, I'm going to pull the rabbit out. I'm going to pull Steve Kerr out of the magician's hat, because he also had Steph Curry at the beginning of the second quarter, and I understand that's part of the process and what they do. But Steph Curry was unconscious. He was that NBA Jam game where There's flames coming from his hands. So I think for me it's Steve Kerr, because obviously Steph Curry was in rhythm and the game was in control, not once but twice entering the second and the fourth quarter, and Steve Kerr made the decision to sit him. But I do think there's a special comment that has to be said about Draymond Green. It's going to happen. He's going to take open shots. Sometimes when he's frustrated, he's going to take not so open shots. We saw it at the end of the game. He's not always going to make those, but Draymond Green, the shots he missed, Al Horford, the shots he made, that's a huge part of the reason we're talking about a Celtics win and not a Warriors win.
All right, so you take a look at what this means for Boston, right? I mean, they have been incredible. Now a league best 39-12 in their last 51 games after starting the season 500. I mean, this team has certainly turned it on here, and those back-to-back Game 7s certainly giving them the experience they need here in Game 1, because they had zero experience in terms of NBA Finals experience, and it's them that show that it didn't matter at all in the fourth quarter as they close it out, outscoring Golden State 40-16. Avery, when you take a look at the adjustments here going into Game 2 for Golden State, and they've got to sit on this for a couple days. Game 2 is Sunday. What's got to change? What's got to be different for Steve Kerr's Warriors in Game 2?
Well, the Warriors should be very concerned at this point, because this was a Boston Celtics team that were playing every other day coming into tonight's game. They finally had a couple of days rest after they put away the Miami Heat in Game 7. Now you give them 2 more days rest, and they're going to come back even more rejuvenated. But for the Warriors, you have to defend the three-point line. There's no way in the world you could win this series. If Boston is going to average 21 threes or 20 threes in this series is going to flip and be over pretty quickly. And it's not just Jason Tatum, it's the other guys. You have to defend Pritchard. Derek White can shoot the three. This guy got a lot of experience playing with the Spurs over the years, and now he's in the spotlight, and obviously Horford. But you got to defend the three-point shot, and you're going to have to get more from Klay Thompson. This version of Klay Thompson tonight, this is not going to be good enough. He's going to have to go way in the high 20s to help Steph Curry, and Jordan Poole's going to have to play his part. We're going to figure out if the lights are too bright for him in the NBA Finals.
Bill, you've watched this Celtics team throughout the playoffs. You've learned a lot about Boston. What statement did they make in Game 1, handing the Warriors their first loss there at Chase Center?
That they belong on this stage, and the Warriors compared to Boston 1 game in so far do not. Now, it's a long series. I'm not going to overreact. We have seen swings over the years. We saw a swing tonight that none of us anticipated, but I think that they have announced they are absolutely the favorites in this series now, and not just because they're up a game, obviously. You go back in time, but you take the information with you. They're still the favorites. Remember, Jason Tatum, and I know he had the assists. He needs to score, you would think, for this team to be successful. They just won a game on the road on a night when Stephen Curry had more than 20 points in the first quarter, when Jason Tatum couldn't hit the backside of a barn from 3 feet away. That's a statement. And this is also a Celtics team that lost the opening round of their series in the second round and in the conference finals and still bounced back. Why? Because Ime Udoka is incredible at game-to-game adjustments. And the fact that they won this game, he's going to have all this time to look at tape, to come up with a plan. If and when, it's probably when the Warriors counterpunch and win whatever game they're going to win next. You know Udoka is going to be prepared. We saw that with the Heat. I think the message, Akeem, is that this Celtics team has a championship caliber. And if the Warriors don't stop messing around and being lackadaisical and playing with their food, this is going to be over way too quickly.
Ime Udoka in his first season as an NBA head coach. Meantime, Steve Kerr looking to win his 4th title in the last 8 seasons, and he had been 21-2 in Game 1s. That record drops a little bit with the loss here. He had been virtually unbeatable, but he has been beatable against Boston. I'll throw this out there again, as the Warriors fall to 7-10 against the Celtics under Steve Kerr. And you think, okay, 7-10, but that's the only team Golden State has a losing record against in that span. So the Celtics certainly have Steve Kerr's number, and they had the Warriors' number in Game 1 as they make a statement and steal it there in San Francisco. Bill Reiter, Avery Johnson, break it down for us here on CBS Sports HQ. Thank you, men. And as we mentioned, the Warriors were perfect at home this postseason, a perfect 9-0. And look, they had a 12-point lead heading into the fourth quarter. They lost by 12. I mean, they got absolutely housed in their home arena. in the fourth quarter. 40-16. 40-16. That's embarrassing. You can't have that. But you had it if you were Boston. And Boston takes a 1-0 series lead again. Game 2 Sunday back in San Francisco.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.